Coffee and convo, y'all. Let's get it. Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building, man. You guys know what time it is. Welcome to the latest installment of Coffee and Convo. I am your host, Graphk Raider, man. Top of the morning to you, Raider Nation. I see Green Dot Gang is heavy already in the building. Salute. Make sure you guys wipe them feet. That means get those likes up. And also hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. I see Gen X. My brother Taino, Alzado, Big Mo. Come on, man. CGR, one of the My Fathers. Frank J. Kevin Williams, Chris Steven. Salute to everybody here in the building. Real quick, man. Roll call. Let me know what city, what state in the comments section you were watching this show this morning. I know I'm starting a little earlier than usual, but hey, man, the holidays are here. I got a ton that I have to do around the house. A lot going on. So wanted to do something a little earlier, man. So salute to everybody out there in the West Coast, thugging it out with me early on. What time is it out there? It's like 9:30, I believe. I mean, it ain't that early, but you know what time it is. Jersey, Long Beach, New Jersey. I see San Jose in the building. Salute to the east side of San Jose, Tully Road. I used to live over there, man. STL, Ohio, Colorado, Thousand Oaks. I see you guys, man, all over the place. Cleveland, Indianapolis, via Los Angeles, 916 South Sac. Iraq is in the building. I appreciate you guys so much for rocking with me as always. There is a lot to talk about today. We're going to actually hit you guys with a doubleheader today. We're going to do a quick coffee and convo. This would be 30, 45-minute show. And then we're going to go and head over to the Graphk and Wasted and Graphk show tonight. So stay tuned for that. Took the last couple of days off. You know, it's been really, really slow in terms of the Raiders, but some stuff popped up yesterday. And I said, you know what, man, let's do a quick little coffee and convo this morning and get everybody updated in Raider Nation with what is going on around our football team. We'll start here, you guys. As though Colton Miller has officially returned to practice yesterday. The team announced it on Twitter. Seen a ton of videos of him out there working out with his teammates. It looks as though our left tackle, Colton Miller, is almost, if not ready to go already. I'll give you guys my take on that here in a second. But the report was released last night, I believe. We have 21 days to either activate Miller to the active roster or to place him back on injury reserve. So keep an eye on this. Again, you know, coming off that nasty ankle injury that he sustained against the Chicago Bears. It's been so Stone Forsythe season ever since our guy has gone down. Something to monitor moving forward. You know, Colton, new deal this season. Definitely worth every penny. It was a great deal. Honestly, it wasn't anything that I thought they overpaid or he was underpaid. I thought it was a perfect deal out there with Colton Miller, former first-round pick in 2018 with Gruden and those guys in the building. He's played in 113 games with 111 starts for our Raiders. Again, he signed that extension in July. So something to keep an eye on here. But I'm hoping and praying, you guys, that our head coach, Pete Carroll, doesn't go out here and force him back into the starting lineup to potentially derail what we have going on right now, which is potentially a number one draft pick. Again, you know, we've said this every single second since Colton Miller was injured. There's no real reason to rush him back. So I don't know how they're going to 21-day window period, but Pete Carroll's seat is hot, you guys. It is very hot, and he knows this. Sitting at 2-11, he would love to absolutely destroy this draft positioning right now, because I think in his heart of hearts, he understands that he's not going to be here anyways next year to see this thing through. So please, Spytek, Brady, whoever is out there, please, please, please do not allow this coaching staff to rush him back out there and potentially hurt himself, even more. Colton has dealt with some injuries these last few seasons, the shoulder injury, now the ankle injury, is getting a little long on the tooth. The last thing you want is for him to go out there, potentially hurt himself again, and then, re-injure the ankle or something else happens. And now you're potentially looking at maybe Grant being your starting left tackle next year because Colton's not ready to go, or maybe even going out and having a draft and replace Colton Miller in the draft or free agency or whatever. So no need to rush him out there. Again, whoever's going to come in next year at the quarterback position, Colton's going to be, protecting his blind side. We do not need to rush him back right now, sitting here at 2-11. We have a ton of teams in front of us, you guys, that are in the thick of things in the playoff race. The Eagles right now, I think they're on a 3-game losing streak home. They need to win in order to keep up in the playoff race. And actually within their division, they still have a chance to win their division with the Cowboys kind of right there, sneaking up behind them, so to speak. So, the Giants and Commanders are so far off, but the Cowboys still have a chance to potentially win that division. So this game means a lot to the Philadelphia Eagles at home this Sunday. And then we got the Texans, the best defense in football. We have the Chiefs, who are fighting for their playoff lives right now. The Giants, they have their guy in Jackson Dart. What are they going to look like when we face them? And then I believe, who else do we have? That's it. Those 4 games remaining. So every team right now is fighting for something in front of us outside of the Giants. No reason to rush Colton Miller back out there, but it is good to see that he's getting healthy. We did drop a bit of news not too long ago about him wanting to play at some point in the season. I think that was about a month or so ago that we dropped some news that we got from one of our people over here in the comments section about running into him and him saying that he wanted to play this season. I'm just hoping and praying that they don't rush him out there and potentially, get him hurt again. You know what I mean? So, but salute to Colton Miller. That 21-day window is officially open, you guys. Something to monitor moving forward. Again, we have 21 days to either activate Colton to the active roster or officially place him back on the injury reserve. So, Pete loves him some Stone Forsythe. So I'm hoping that he sticks with Stone or potentially goes to Spytek's guy, Charles Grant, and gives him some burn these next 4 weeks so we can see what he has, going into next season. So salute to Colton Miller. Good to see that he's on the right trajectory, back after that nasty ankle injury. Good to see him back in the thick of things. Also, it looks as though Kenny Pickett, Mr. Two Gloves himself, may be in line, you guys, to start this Sunday at the Philadelphia Eagles. An interesting turn of events here. It looks as though Geno, dealing with that shoulder injury, his right shoulder, he may not be able to go come Sunday. I know that Ian Rappaport put it out there that he's unlikely to start because of the shoulder injury. Pete said he's day-to-day. If Pete had his way, he would probably put Geno back out there. He's willing to die on that sword. And again, I think that there's something there with Pete in Spytek. So I don't think that he would want to play Spytek's guy who initially sent the draft pick out there to Philadelphia to go get Kenny Pickett to be his backup. So we'll see day-to-day here, you guys. But again, it looks as though Kenny Pickett may end up starting this Sunday. He had a really good drive against the Denver Broncos at the end of the game in garbage time. Again, I see a lot of people freaking out saying that Kenny Pickett may potentially go out there and derail, our draft stock, and so to speak. Look, Kenny looked good out there, and that's no knock. This is no knock to him at all. It would be great to see somebody else go out there and get an opportunity because we know Geno has looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in football this year. And we all also know that Geno's not going to be here next year to see this thing through. Kenny Pickett is a free agent. It will be good to get, some eval on him and see if he potentially can stick around next year. Again, he is free to walk in free agency. Spytek did send a draft pick to Cleveland, My apologies, not Philadelphia, to bring him in. So it's going to be interesting to see if Spy Tech would like to keep Kenny Pickett around for potentially a bridge quarterback or a backup to whatever rookie we bring in, whether that's Mendoza, Simpson, Dante Moore, to be determined on that note. But again, Kenny Pickett, 33 games, 4,870 yards, 16 touchdowns to go with 14 picks. Hasn't had a great career up to this point, former first-round pick out of Pitt. But again, it's going to be, I think it'd be cool to actually see him go out there and get some burn. I see a lot of people freaking out saying that they think Kenny Pickett is going to go out there and potentially win against Philadelphia. I know that Philly's offense has been stagnant. They have not been able to, operate the way they did last year on that Super Bowl run. But again, this is a very bad football team, you guys. Again, I know Kenny Pickett was once a Philadelphia Eagle, won a Super Bowl out there, with them. But this is not a good football team by any means. It doesn't look like they're going to force Colton Miller out there at left tackle this week. The O-line is going to look the exact same. I don't know if you've seen Ashton Genty kind of talk a little bit about optimism, right? And I love that Ashton Genty is just very honest. I see on Twitter about, oh my God, I don't really like his mindset. I love it because this kind of goes in side by side with what I'm trying to say about this Philadelphia game. He said this during one of his pressers or media scrums. I wouldn't say I'm as optimistic as Pete sometimes, but I do think a lot of the times all it takes is one play, one spark to change the direction of the game for us and for that organization and for the organization to lead toward a win. Okay. So again, Pete did go out there and say we have a surprisingly a positive attitude. That's part of our culture. It's a part of the expectation of how we operate, but it's there. I think that I'm going to lean more towards Ashton Genty with this. I'm not optimistic at all about this game. Yes, it may take a little spark and so on and so forth. And yes, Philadelphia has struggled recently. Again, they do have an interesting defense. You look at that side of the football, and there's a ton of talent over there, specifically on that defensive line. But their defense, you guys, they ranked 26th against the run, 15th against the pass, kind of putting them in as a middle of the pack kind of defense right now in the NFL. So this would be an interesting game to see what Kenny Pickett could do and to see if Ashton Genty can get the ball rolling here late in the season against the 26th ranked run defense in football. But again, I don't think that this is going to be close. I think this is going to be a get-right game for Philadelphia. And we'll talk more about that tonight on the Graphk and Wasted the Graphk show. But again, I don't think we really have anything to worry about, you guys. We're traveling out east. They're saying that there may be some potential snow out there in Philadelphia. Kenny Pickett is very, he's used to that. I believe he's from New Jersey originally, played his collegiate football in Pennsylvania, played for the Eagles. He's very aware of how to operate in the snow. But again, this is not, to me, a game that – is it a winnable game? Definitely, because of the way Philadelphia has looked in recent memory. But I think this is a very much so get-right game for the Philadelphia Eagles. I said it last week to Ben over at Sports Talk Denver that I thought that was going to be a game where they blew the doors off of us and kind of got that offense rolling. And don't let that final score, kind of get you away from that, you guys. Denver blew the doors off of us last week, definitely. So I'm thinking that this is definitely going to be a get-right game for Philadelphia. I think Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and those guys are going to get rolling. Again, Jalen Hurts has struggled this year, coming off of, I believe, 4 picks last week against the Chargers. I think that it's going to be a very much so get-right home game for this Philadelphia Eagles team as they head into the playoffs this year. So I want to say this. I see a lot of people freaking out saying that Pete is, derail our draft stock and, we're sitting at 2 right now. We could potentially drop and all that other stuff. I don't think that they're going to force Colton out there. Again, you guys, the 21-day window period just opened up. I don't think they're going to force him out there. And I don't think that really too much changes with Kenny Pickett at the quarterback position. Again, I'm excited to see what he can do out there. And I think that the offense may look a little different and maybe a little bit more excitement, coming from the offensive side of the football. But again, we still are very much so a very bad football team on both sides of the ball. So I don't really think that this is something to worry about too much. But again, we're Raider fans. We've seen this before, right? Last year, AP goes out there, wins some meaningless games at the end of the season. He's not here to see this thing through this year again. And we end up with 4 wins, and we're right there sitting at 6 instead of the top 3 to potentially go get a quarterback. I understand. I get it. But this could potentially be a good situation here, you guys, because again, SpyTech sent a pick to Cleveland for Kenny Pickett. So it seems as though, I don't know how high he's on Kenny Pickett, but it seems as though he likes Kenny Pickett. So let's just say we lose out these next 4 games, but Kenny goes out there and looks pretty good, and the offense is kind of rolling under Greg Olsen. Now we may potentially have, like I said earlier on in the show, our bridge quarterback for the next rookie, or a guy that we can bring back in free agency to sit behind a Mendoza or whoever it is as the rookie quarterback to come in and learn, under a guy that has won a Super Bowl as a backup in Philadelphia. So I'm not too much worried about this, but it's good to see 2 gloves, potentially get a chance to go out there and play against Philadelphia. I know his family is really excited. A lot of them have been DMing me and hitting me up on Twitter saying, yeah, Kenny Pickett season. I'm hyped. Like, they're excited because a lot of them are from that area, are Eagles fans, and some of them are Eagles fans because, he won a Super Bowl out there. And some of them are just fans of Kenny Pickett, wherever team he goes. Hit me up, and it's been kind of fun going back and forth with the Pickett family. But I personally think that the offense may be a little bit more fun to watch. But again, I don't think we have to worry too much. This is a very, very rough stretch of football for us, you guys. The Texans are playing for their division. The Eagles are playing for their division. They have a very bad division. They're sitting at 8-5 right now, I believe, and can very much so still win their division. They're trying to win ball games. The Chiefs are on the outside looking in with 7 losses. They need to win out, and they need some help. So I've seen some videos out there that a lot of people were sending me about potentially the Chiefs losing on purpose there at the end of the season because, they're playing chess, so to speak, and Andy Reid and company would not like the Raiders to go out there and pinpoint their quarterback in next year's draft class, right? I thought that was funny. And salute to Ryan, former Raider, good dude, one of Stu's former teammates. He was on with, who is it? I forgot who he was on. He was with somebody, a beat writer, I believe. I think it was Jesse Merrick on his show talking about potentially the Chiefs playing chess and losing out there at the end of this. I kind of beg to differ here. It's still Raiders Chiefs. I don't care if they're fighting for nothing at the end of the day. This may be Travis Kelce's last season in the league. They're gonna fight. And I think that Kelce would want to win against the Raiders on the way out. He's owned us pretty much his entire career as a Chief. So I don't think that they're gonna do that. And again, Andy Reid and those guys, a lot of people think that Andy Reid is fighting for his job in Kansas City, which is kind of crazy because they've had one of the greatest runs ever in the NFL. They have one down year, and everybody's calling for his job out there in Kansas City, which is absolutely hilarious. But I'm not buying that. And again, I think Ryan went on also to say that Jack Besh is like a 4th or 5th receiver like himself, or like a Alex Bachman, which is blasphemy. He will be potentially a 1B or a high-end wide receiver 2 for us in no time. And I like Ryan, again, former teammate of Stu. Me and Stu actually had breakfast with him at the alumni, hung out with him, kicked it with him for about an hour. We actually talked about bringing him on the show, and he was all for it. We just haven't reached back out to him. So maybe I'll double back and check with Ryan, but I think Ryan's low-key tweaking about that situation. So to Jersey, draft needs to be best player available all the way through. We need help at every level of offense and defense. Let me say this, Jersey, after you get your quarterback, right? And again, is Fernando Mendoza better than Arvell Reese? I don't know. Is Fernando Mendoza, going to be better than Caleb Downs at the next level? I don't know. But I'm going to say this. Stop playing, get your quarterback, and then if you want to go a BPA after that, run it. Run it. But this is the year you cannot play anymore. And Fernando Mendoza is out there praising Tom Brady. I've seen multiple interviews where he went out there and said that he's like his idol and that he praises him and that, that he's, one of his idols. Look, I think Tom Brady is very aware of what Fernando Mendoza is doing out there in Indiana, the number one team in college football right now, coming off of a big win against Ohio State. Now, I know they're going to watch him very closely in the playoffs and see if he can duplicate, or replicate that, that performance against Ohio State. Ohio State to be determined. We shall see. But again, total moxie. That guy is a dog. Got hit on the first play, first play of the game and bounced back and had that kind of performance. I'm all for Fernando Mendoza. Get your quarterback, and if you want to go BPA after that, I'm here for it. Salute to my guy, Jersey. Salute to everybody here in the building. Appreciate you guys. As always, get those likes up and make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you guys are not subscribed yet, make sure you guys get your questions in. Again, Colton Miller has returned back to practice. The 21-day period, the window is opened up. So going to be interesting to see where he is here in the next 4 weeks. If Pete's going to call him up or they put him on the IR and sit him for the remainder of the season. Something to monitor moving forward. And it looks as though Kenny Pickett may be in line to start Sunday against his former team, the Philadelphia Eagles, on the road with Geno Smith battling that shoulder injury. Again, Pete has said that Geno will be day-to-day, but again, we all know that Geno was on the way out, you guys. It's a foregone conclusion that he's not happy in Las Vegas. We're not happy with him in Las Vegas. I don't think that Spytek and Brady are incompetent enough to bring him back, even with that 3-year deal. Look, he's gone. He's gone. This may be, if he doesn't play this Sunday and Kenny Pickett goes out there and plays really well, that may be the last we've ever seen of Geno Smith against the Denver Broncos last week. So fingers crossed that Kenny Pickett goes out there and looks good, but we continue to lose these next 4 weeks so we can keep Geno Smith off the football field and just move on from him in the offseason. Salute to my guy, CGR, my brother, man. I appreciate you, my brother. Salute to the new members in the building. If you guys missed out on those 5, hit the link. It's pinned up top. It definitely helps us keep the lights on over here at OLV Raiders Network. Salute to you, my brother. Lecky, I would absolutely hate that. Not only because of I've never been high on Kyler Murray, not only because the way he played my Oakland A's at the time, right? I know the A's will be in Vegas, which would be really interesting to see if he pulls the Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders card. But I've never been a fan of the measurables, never been really truly a fan of his game like that. And I'm definitely not a fan of that contract and what it would potentially cost to go out there and move some draft capital to go get him from Arizona. The injuries are very scary as well. Stay the hell away from Kyler Murray. Go get your own quarterback. Go get your own quarterback. Simple and plain. Let me see. Yeah, you know what, Lucky? And let me say this. People were hitting me up about that. And Lucky, let me say this. I love that you said it because of your name, the irony in this, right? Do you think that that's the easiest thing to say here? It's the easiest thing to say here. Geno was out there flipping off the fans. Apparently, he did it again in Denver when he got his shoulder injured and walked into the locker room. You know, he had some words, apparently, allegedly, with the fans. I mean, come on, you guys. Like, it's so easy to say, oh, his parents and his are we really doing this shit? It's apparent that he does not want to be there. It is apparent that the fan base does not want him there. Like, the sky is blue, you guys. The grass is green. I understand that it's been a very bad season. I understand that, there's not been a lot of motion on YouTube as of late. And sometimes you got to throw some shit at the wall and hopefully you get some, some clicks for it. But come on, man. Well, honestly, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like, come on, man. Crazy. Salute to 510. Blessed my timeline with that Battle of the Bay news. And we're going to go over that here in a second, 510. Salute to my dog. I appreciate you, brother, on that $5 special, man. Salute to Jersey. What would you do if Mendoza shits the bed his next game? Would you be cool with Moore? And what if Moore don't come out? Would you still go with Mendoza? It's either one of those guys for me. And I have a scenario, Jersey, that I'm going to bring up from my Twitter feed that I would like your opinion on. I have no problem with either Mendoza or Moore. And honestly, I'm very much so keeping an eye on Moore because of his OC leaving to Kentucky and taking the head coaching position. So I have a really nagging suspicion that he's going to come out, because this would be the draft where he'd be a top 5 pick. What happens if he goes out there next year, gets hurt? I know the NIL is big and they're going to get their bag regardless. But what happens if he goes out there and gets hurt and potentially never gets to look at that potential top 5 pick again? In this draft class, he's a top 5 pick. So I don't know if you can turn that down to return to Oregon another season, especially with the new OC and a new offense potentially out there in Oregon. So I'm cool with either one of them. And honestly, I don't really care. Let me not say I don't care what Mendoza does moving forward. I've seen enough. I've seen what he did against that number 1 defense in Ohio State, a bunch of first-round talent and NFL talent on that defense. He went out there and played really well against that defense. So I don't really care. I don't care. Mendoza, Moore, or bust. Simple and plain. Go get one of those guys. And I'm going to give you 2 scenarios here in a minute, Jersey. And I'll definitely, once again, want your opinion for sure. Yeah, Josh. But this would be an interesting draft, once again, if you want to double dip. Because of Drew Allar's injury, and not being able to return to Penn State, he's going to have to declare this year, which he will. He'll be in the draft this year. It's going to be interesting to see where he is. Is he going to be a second-round pick, a third, fourth, fifth? We shall see. The measurables, you can't teach that. 6'5", 6'6", big body, big arm, right? I would not be upset if these guys double-dipped at the quarterback position. I really, truly wouldn't. I think this would be a great year to pull the Cleveland Browns move that they did last year, with Dylan and Shador, but get one early and then get one there in the middle to later rounds. I don't, really myself don't believe in Cam. I think that Aiden is on his way out. So we'll see. But again, I would love to double dip at the quarterback position in this year's draft class. I definitely would. JMC's, what's your thoughts on the Giants, Graphk? I think that they have their quarterback. I think that they have a ton of talent on that roster. I think that they have more talent right now than we do. They found their quarterback apparently. Again, it is year 1 and he has to find a way to continue to have success. Those concussions are definitely a concern. We'll see who we're facing out there. Is it going to be J-Mo? Is it going to be Russ? Is it going to be Jackson at that point? We don't know. We don't know what the Giants are going to do there that late in the season. Again, they have their quarterback though. But the one thing you have to worry about, JMC, again, is another team like the Jets, the Saints, and one of those other teams potentially trading up in front of us to go get the quarterback. So, again, we shall see. We shall see. But they dealt with some nasty injuries. Dart in and out of the lineup. Cam out for the season with that ankle injury. They've dealt with some nasty stuff out there, but they have some pieces out there. I want to ask you guys' take on this, because it looks as though Abdul Carter is kind of, let me say, immature. It's kind of been battling some demons up there with the New York Giants. It looks like some veterans have been kind of on his helmet, and it looked like he missed some playing time because of him being late, I believe, to film study or something along those lines. I seen the funny fake report about him watching porn, which was absolutely hilarious. But it would be interesting to see if the Giants will play ball with Abdul Carter. I'm watching them to see what they're going to do with Kayvon Thibodeau, if they're going to bring him back. I want to see what they're doing with. They have him. They have Brian Burns out there. If they would move on from Abdul Carter, I would flirt with the idea of sending them our second round pick to bring him in, give him some fresh energy, a new place opposite of Max Crosby. I just wonder if they would move off from him. It seems as though in year 1, he's kind of fallen out of favor. Now, maybe the next coaching staff that comes in finds a way to unlock his full potential, but I would love to see the Raiders during the draft say, hey, we got a second round pick here. And, maybe you would like Tyree Wilson, or, maybe you would like another, a player that we have on a potential rookie deal to, lower Abdul Carter over here. I would love it. I would love it. That would be fun. Abdul Carter opposite of Max Crosby on a rookie deal. That would be insane. With a quarterback on a rookie deal would be absolutely bonkers for this Raiders football team. That would be great. Graphk, where you get that Raiders 26 schedule from? Raiders come to AZ for a real game. Yes, I'm going to bring that up right now. Salute to my guy, Heat Check. Let me bring this up on screen. It's actually from the Raiders official website. So let me bring this up real quick. Again, salute to everybody here in the building as always. Already got that 2026 schedule. Here we go. Right here, you guys. Home opponents, Denver Broncos, KC, Chargers, of course, right? Those are our AFC West rivals. The Buffalo Bills at home, Miami Dolphins at home, the Los Angeles Rams, potentially a Devontae Adams battle out there in Las Vegas, which would be fun to watch. Keep an eye on him because there was a report that came out if Stafford retires after the season that Devontae may follow suit. So something to keep an eye on. And then the AFC South, that'll probably end up being, I'm trying to think, who would that be right there? It'd probably be Tennessee, right? Let me see something. I'm going to see. It's going to be Tennessee. Yeah, it'll be Tennessee. It'll be Tennessee there at home as well. You know, we get that last place schedule going into next year. But this is the fun part, you guys. I get a chance to go home and watch my Raiders face the 49ers in the Bay Area. This one is going to be fun. If you're from Northern California, you cannot miss out on this game. Simple and plain. I may try to get a show going out there in the area, out there in Santa Clara, San Jose, Oakland, somewhere back home, maybe get the guys out there, show them around Northern California. But we get to face the Niners at home in the Bay Area. That's going to be a 50-50 for sure out there at Levi Stadium. I love that. I'm hyped to see the 49ers next year. And they'll be healthy too. And I don't know when this is. It could be late in the season, early in the season, to be determined. But again, our AFC West rivals, the Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers. We get the Cardinals in Arizona. I definitely want to go to that game. I used to live in Phoenix for about a year and a half out there in Tempe. I would love to go head out there to Glendale and watch the Raiders face the Cardinals. Patriots, far east. The Jets, I get to go out there and see my brothers hammer and wasted. That gives me all the incentive to go out there and go check out that game. So the Jets in New York, or in the Meadowlands in New Jersey. And then the AFC North, which will probably face the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. So something to monitor. Is it Shador? Is it Deshaun Watson next year? To be determined. But for now, it is Cleveland. Now, they're only one game back of the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll see if Joe Burrow and company find a way to lose a slew of games moving forward and they end up being that team. But I think it's going to be Cleveland, which will be fun heading out to Cleveland to potentially face Shador or Deshaun Watson. And then the NFC South is probably going to be the Saints in New Orleans, which is always a fun game on the road. I've been out there before. I was out there 2016, week 1. Jack Del Rio, 2-point conversion, Crabtree, Jalen Richard, my guy, first carry. I spoke to Jalen today, you guys. Spoke to Jalen. Our podcast is still on, you guys. He's working out some legal stuff, and he's actually been in the building working with the Raiders recently, man. So salute to my brother, Jalen Richard, out there doing big things. But either there or Atlanta. Atlanta's only a game ahead of New Orleans right now. I would love it to be Atlanta because that's my second home. I would love to get a chance to fly out to the A and have an excuse to go see my mom, sister, and all my people out there. And then, that's it. AFC North to be determined, NFC South to be determined. I'm thinking for now it's Cleveland and it's New Orleans, or it could be Cincinnati or Atlanta. So there you guys, 2026 schedule moving forward. And we'll talk a lot about this in the offseason. Once the dates drop, we'll do our, annual schedule show for sure. So love it. So wipe them feet, y'all. Hit them thumbs up. I want you guys to take on what Ashton Genty had to say, though. I didn't get your guys' take on this. For those who are wondering, what I'm talking about, he did say, I'm gonna say it verbatim because I don't want to, this is what he had to say about tempering down expectations in Las Vegas. I wouldn't say I'm as optimistic as Pete is sometimes, but I do think a lot of times all it takes is one play, one spark to change the direction of the game for us and just for the organization to lead toward a win. This is coming from Ryan McFadden over at ESPN. Salute to him. He's doing great work I see a lot of people giving him flack because he has looked very, very defeated during these pressers. And again, like, who wouldn't be at this point? You're coming in, as the first running back off the board. You're drafted at 6, right? And, you're coming in. A lot of people, including myself, place this generational tag on you. You go out there, you have under 200 carries at this point, only 191 carries. We have not been able to get the ground game rolling at all. He only has 665 yards on the ground right now, you guys. He's 21st in the league right now. And you would want a lot more from that, taking him at 6, coming out of Boise, having that phenomenal season that he had last year. Only 4 touchdowns on the ground, averaging 3.5 a clip, placing him 45th in the league in regards to average per carry. And then, a good thing is at least, he's been good for us in the passing game. He's been targeted 58 times. He has 259 yards in the air, also 4 touchdowns to go along there. So we've gotten 8 touchdowns out of him in his rookie season. Collectively, we're almost at that 1,000-yard mark. We're right there for all purpose. He should be pissed. He should be pissed. I don't think that he was signing up for this shit show with Brennan Carroll, Pete Carroll. I think that you look at that energy that he has, and it's clear that every time Pete is mentioned, it seems as though it's like, man, that's your man. That's your son that's running the O-line. I mean, can you get this thing rolling so I can get my career rolling? I can get going. That they have crushed Genty's spirit in year 1. It's crystal clear. You can see it during those media. Like, before, he was all happy-go-lucky, smiling all the time. I'm excited to play football. I love this game. Blase, blah. He just looks very much so defeated. So when he says, I'm not his op throw at times, I get it. I respect it. Him saying this organization, let's not front. This organization has been bad for a long time, and we're trying to change things. I love what Ashton Genty is doing. He's honest. He's real. He's transparent. And his body language says a lot without saying anything. He is very much so frustrated right now, and deservingly so. He's pissed. And I'm hoping and praying that the Raiders can find a way to build up that O-line in the offseason. I'm hoping that Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers, get some realistic looks. Caleb has looked really good out there. Who would have thought, you guys? Again, Caleb Rogers goes out there, lowest pressure rates allowed by rookie O-linemen in week 14. Number one. We've talked about this before. 0.0%, 39 snaps in the passing game. So who would have thought that he'd be this good, especially against that defensive line? We've been calling for him for a long time. It's good to see. Now I think it's time for Spytech and company to force Charles Grant onto the football field. He's been active a ton recently. They need to get him out there. Stone Forsythe has been very, very bad, and he's a turnstile at left tackle, period. You drafted Charles Grant out of William & Mary in the 3rd round. Yes, he's a developmental talent. But again, throw him out there, see what he can do against some of these defenses, see what he can do against Philly, see what he can do against KC, the Texans, 3 really good defenses, see what he can do against the Giants defensive line at the end of the season. It's time to put those young guys out there. We've seen Besh. We got a chance to see Dante since week 1. They put Thornton out there early. Some of these rookies have been getting some looks in recent times. It's time to put Charles Grant out there. But again, also something to monitor, you guys, which is kind of scary, is that Baltimore went out there and they paid Mark Andrews. So it looks like they're trying to kind of run it back out there in Baltimore. They just signed Travis Jones, their defensive tackle. We talked about him potentially in free agency. He signed a 3-year extension out there. Great deal for Baltimore. 3-year, $40.5 million contract that ties him to Baltimore through 2028, according to Adam Schefter. It looks like Baltimore is preparing to bring those guys back. So something to keep an eye on. Tyler Linderbaum, keep an eye on him. I want to see if Baltimore is going to bring back that two-time Pro Bowler, their center. I'm hoping that they go out there and pay other guys like Isaiah Likely. I don't know if they're going to do that now because they paid Mark Andrews. They have a few other interesting free agents, but I'm watching Tyler Linderbaum very, very closely moving forward. But again, bringing Travis Jones back, the former Connecticut product, it looks as though Baltimore may try to run it back with this existing roster. Ton of injuries out there this year. Lamar missed a ton of football. Maybe they think that they still have a roster that can be impactful enough to make a run next year when healthy. So we'll see. So salute to my guy, Heat Graphk. You see Joe Burrow's comments about the team and all these questions surrounding his future in Cincinnati. Give up the farm for Burrow. I have. And let me go find that quote. I definitely seen that yesterday. I'm going to bring up the exact quote. Salute to my guy for bringing that up. Boom. This is what he had to say. Go over here real quick. This is what he said Wednesday. If I want to keep doing this, then what am I trying to do with myself? Burrow told reporters, and I have to have fun doing it. You know, if it's not fun, then what am I doing it for? So that's the mindset. Okay. So something to keep an eye on. Do I have fun playing? Burrow said, I mean, how much? Winning's always fun. But in general, was it fun as before? No, I wouldn't say it that way. So it looks as though Burrow is kind of pissed off out there. Cincinnati currently has the 28th ranked offensive line. And this is what happens. Joe Burrow is definitely somebody that should be pissed off at himself by the way he's gone about doing things out there in Cincinnati. You know, the injuries have been piling up, you know, and again, you hate to see that with such a young quarterback. But, bro, you were an advocate for T. Higgins and, you know, Jamar Chase to get paid. You can't pay those guys and then expect Cincinnati to be able to build their O-line and build that defense up the way you see fit. It is what it is. Burrow, honestly, and you're my favorite quarterback in the league when healthy. This is on you. This is on you. You were out there pleading for them to pay T. Higgins, pleading for them to pay Jamar Chase, and Chase is your man's. I get it. LSU, I understand that. T. Higgins, former Clemson product, but you were the one out there saying pay both of my wide receivers. Guess what that leads to? Your contract, T. Higgins' contract, Jamar Chase's contract. That leads to all this shit that they're dealing with Trey Hendrickson. This makes it damn near impossible to pay other players on the defensive side of the football, and also those guys up front that need a block for you. So, and then you're already dealing with a terrible owner out there in Cincinnati. So again, you put yourself in this predicament. But I say that to say, if Burrow ends up being available at some point, I'm always willing to at least take a look. But that would cost you your future. We don't have an O-line right now, just like Cincinnati doesn't have an O-line. Now, maybe we can, you know, bring in some of these young guys from last year's class and maybe put JPJ back at center. And this O-line may look different next year with the new O-line coach. Maybe we can have a middle-of-the-pack O-line, to be determined. But again, look, you guys, you have in this climate in the NFL, in today's world, you want to win with a rookie contract at the quarterback position. I've said this several times. You look at the landscape of the NFL. You know, Jalen Hurts was drafted to Philadelphia. You know, you look at Patrick Mahomes drafted to Kansas City. You know, you look at all these guys, you know, the Josh Allens, which he hasn't won anything yet, but they were winning when he was on his rookie deal. They weren't winning championships, but again, they were right there in the thick of things. Go draft your guy, develop him. You have that fifth-year option that you could pick up. That is how you win ball games. That is how you build that defense. That's how you build a sustainable offensive line in order to block up front for that young rookie signal caller. That's the way to go about things. Simple and plain. Simple and plain. So, you know, I personally would rather go that route. I would rather just go get your young guy and you can develop him. Simple and plain. And I love Joe Burrow. Love him. But I'm not sending the farm to Cincinnati for a guy that has a crazy contract and some injuries that has definitely, you know, been adding up. So, Omar, do you mean the DT out of Florida? I think you mean the defensive tackle out of Florida. Big boy. And again, you know, he's dealt with some injuries, but definitely a name that we have talked about over here at OLV Raiders Network. And we'll talk about him again in the offseason as the draft comes around. But I believe you're talking about the young DT from Florida, right? I think that's what you mean. Heat check. What's your thoughts on Geno? And I seen this all around Twitter, which is absolutely comical. Nobody's faking an injury. Let me say this, you guys. Geno has took punishment this year. How many times has Geno been sacked this year? I want to see this. How many times has Geno been sacked this year? 49 times. Leads the NFL 49 times. 49 times. No one's faking an injury. That man is real life getting killed out there. Again, he's been his own worst enemy as well, throwing a ton of picks and shit like that. But come on, man. I see some of this shit, and I'm kind of, and this is not pinpointed to you, Heat Check. I'm really disappointed in some of Raider Nation running with some of this stupid ass narratives out there. It's just like, are we honestly, do you think that Geno would fake an injury after Pete Carroll, his football dad, laid it all on the line and sent a third round pick to bring him into Vegas after getting him out of Seattle where he wanted to leave? I mean, come on now, man. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Heat check. He is not faking anything. That man has been hit a million times, bro. Let's stop the bullshit. Stop the cap. It is what it is. Heat check. That's okay. That doesn't mean he's faking an injury. Once again, sacked 49 times. That man ain't faking shit. He's not faking anything. It is what it is. So, but again, y'all listen to whoever y'all want to listen to. We're not pressed for clicks over here at OLV Raiders, Raider Nation. We and Shieldmore, we keep shit honest. We keep shit real. We don't do that clickbait trying to get y'all over here and blah, 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 and send the Raider Nation in an uproar. That's not who we are. We don't do that. So again, salute to whoever put there. Geno is not faking an injury and all that other shit. It is what it is. And it's crystal clear that he wants out of Las Vegas, just like all of us want him out. Come on, man. Yeah, Graham, I mean, come on, dude. Like, what? One thing I can say is Geno, people want to call him out his name. Geno ain't no bitch. That man has played behind some really bad O-lines and took some crazy hits. So, look, I would never put that on Geno's jacket, regardless if he blocked me or how much we don't like him at the quarterback position. I would never throw that fake shit on Geno Smith's jacket at all because he doesn't deserve that. So, it is what it is. Let me see. Oh, yeah, Andy, and salute to little bro. I agree with you. I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. He's played really bad football. Really bad football. So, again, he doesn't deserve to be out there. But also, I'm not going to throw that false narrative on him at all. So, it is what it is. Wipe them feet, y'all. Hit them thumbs up. If you guys are not subscribed yet, what are y'all waiting on? We do have another show tonight, so stay tuned. Graphk and Wasted and Graphk show. Make sure you guys pull up today. Salute to Toasty. Right, Graphk? Love you. Love you. Keep it real. Geno played through some bad O-lines. Raiders were, through worse. And again, I watched Geno take some nasty hits with the Jets. I watched him take some nasty hits with the Seahawks. I watched him get his motherfucking jaw broken by a teammate with the Jets. You know what I mean? Like, look, regardless of anything, it is what it is. CGR. Oh, my apologies. I did not see Sammy's super, my brother. Let me go look that up. Salute to Sammy. Graphk, keep JPJ or at guard next season. It just depends on what regime, comes in and what they truly, what they think systematically, how he fits. Is he a guard or is he a center? If you guys know my stance, I'm always going to stick to the same stance. If I'm in charge, I'm putting the Remington winner back at center. And clearly he wants to be a center. So that's what I'm doing personally. But again, if another regime comes in and they still see that we want him as a guard, it is what it is. Look, run it. But me personally, put him back at center. You got Caleb Rogers out there. You just drafted a guard in the 3rd round. You can see what you have. You could potentially even just push DJ Glaze in to right guard, put Caleb on the left side with Colton back at left tackle, put Charles Grant at right tackle, and you already may be cooking with fish grease right now with your existing roster that you have right now. Think about that, you guys. Honestly, think about it. Caleb on the left, Colton Miller, JPJ at center, DJ Glaze at guard, which I think he would be a stud there at right guard, with potentially Grant at right tackle. So, but I personally would love to see him back at center. Oh, yeah. I love Napoleon Kaufman. I believe he sat down with the Raiders recently and did an interview. I just reached out to Knapp as well. I'm trying to get him on the show. I know he's finally back in that football bag. Knapp has been kind of far removed from football for a while. I know he owns a church out there in the Bay Area. He's been going in another direction, which I love for Knapp, but that's one of my favorite running backs of all time. Growing up, I loved Napoleon Kaufman. And he is literally one of my uncle's best friends. My uncle used to work for the Raiders, and he used to do all the camps at Napa, and all that stuff. And they got very, very close. It's crazy because my uncle told me that Nap actually got him into the word. My uncle is like a super, super Christian now, living out there in Hawaii, but Nap got him involved in religion. So I love Nap. I love Nap. Love it. I definitely want to check him out. And yeah, it was with Baron Davis, Ryan. Yep. And Baron's a good dude too. I got to reach out to Baron. I spoke to him at the alumni party about potentially coming on the show, and he's all for it. I need to get Baron on the show as well. Let me see. Graham, I don't think so. I think that he's a trooper, man. I think that he just wants to play football. I think that he knows that he belongs in a Raider uniform. He was born for this team. His family agrees with that as well. I don't think playing him at guard is playing him out of position, me personally. I think he could be great at both positions. I just think that he would be better at center. But I don't think that he would ask out if they play him at guard again. I think that he is one of those guys that moves with the assumption of, and his mother told me this straight up, he's going to do what's best for this football team. She told me that. Salute to Mama JPJ out there. Again, salute to her for sending me a fire Jackson Powers Johnson jersey signed. That was so dope of her, man. Salute to Mama Powers out there. Love her. His family is so fire. His stepdad, those really good people. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Graham, the last thing he's gonna do is force himself out of Vegas because they play him at guard. Now, if they try to put him at tackle or some shit, he may be like, you know what, let me get the hell out of here. I think he likes both spots, but he would preferably be a center. Carr hitting at a comeback. Don't put it past Mark Davis to bring him back and Gruden. Nah. I wouldn't be shocked if he tried to bring Gruden back. Definitely. But and those days are over, you guys. Those days are over. Let's not, DC, man, I think that he's doing a podcasting thing now. I know he has other things going on in his personal life, business-wise, that he's doing. I don't know the specifics of everything he has going on, but there's no reason for that. We got to move on. Simple and plain. Just is what it is. But they did say there was a report that came out that Indianapolis potentially reached out to DC before they brought back 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. So I don't know. That would have been fun to watch DC out there with that O-line, with Jonathan Taylor at running back, all those young wide receivers that he has, those options, that defense. That would have been dope to see DC go out there and potentially make a run with Indianapolis. That would have been dope. But there's rumors of the Jets potentially bring here if they don't get a quarterback in this year's class. We got to move on, though. We got to move on. Good luck to DC and everything that he has going on moving forward. Hopefully he enjoys retirement. Once a Raider, always a Raider. Talk. So let me see. I think I have one more thing that I wanted to bring up, you guys. Talked about that. Talked about Genty. And again, I'm going to read some draft position here stuff here, you guys, because again, I see a lot of people in Raider Nation worried about the Raiders potentially rattling off a win in Philadelphia. They're on a 3-game skid right now. Right now, we are the number 2 overall team, or pick in next year's class. Mendoza is definitely an option. I think if you want Fernando Mendoza, you have to get up to that number 1 spot. You have to lose out. And the Giants game is very critical for this Raiders team to potentially land there at number 1. Now, if they found a way to beat the Giants and lose to the Chiefs, Texans, Eagles, you could potentially find yourself right there, you know, I don't know, 2-3, and then you're looking at potentially Dante Moore, or if you miss out on him, you might have to trade back and maybe you can still pick up Ty Simpson. But we're right there at number 2, only behind the Giants, who share the same record as us. So that game, that head-to-head out there at Allegiant Stadium, is very, very critical moving forward for us to identify our quarterback of the future. So week 18, you guys, week 18 is something to monitor after, you know, all the results of where we are in the thick of things. Keep an eye after the season's up to see where we are. You know, but once again, just lose out. Just lose out. All you gotta do is lose out. Lose out. We'll know week 18 where we are with this thing, you know, after the Giants game. But again, just lose out. Just lose out. There's not a lot that you have to do here. Let me see. I'm looking at this Raiders schedule. Yeah, we have the Giants December 28th, and then we have the Chiefs January 4th. Back-to-back home games there to end the season. So that Giants game is critical. And I don't think that the Chiefs game at all is I don't think it's going to be close. They have owned us at Allegiant Stadium. Regardless if they're playing for, I think that Andy Reid and company are going to roll out Gardner Minshew because the game doesn't matter. I don't think so. I don't think that happens. Let me see. John Bailey, I definitely do. But again, I don't think that they're going to go out there and attempt to lose at all. They're going to go out there and put forth, you know, they're going to put their best foot forward every week. They're not going to go out there and try to lose games. You know what I mean? So, you know, it is what it is. Hey, user, whatever, bro. Honestly, I don't really give a shit. I don't really care what you're talking about. I would slap you, Tank Luke. Man, shut up. Cornball. You wouldn't slap shit. It's always goofies like that come in the chat with a fake default picture, a fake name, and they come in here and you would not bust a grape driving a tractor through Napa Valley, cornball. Shut up. But let me say this, John. Do they definitely see what's going on? Definitely. But again, they're going to go out there and put their best foot forward. But we just don't have a good football team. So I don't care how much they want to win. I don't think that we're good enough to win any of these games. Again, 3 or 4 of these teams, you guys, that are playoff teams. Well, let me say the Chiefs are on the outside looking in, but Texans, number 1 defense in football. Philly trying to win their division. The Chiefs trying to find any window for them to pretend. That last game of the season, they may be fighting for that last wild card spot. Who's to say? And then the Giants game, you know, I look. The Giants, I think at this point, where do they go? They already have Abdul Carter. Again, if they drafted Arvell Reese, I'm making a call for Abdul Carter. But they're probably going to sell that pick to the top bidder. Honestly, the Giants already have their quarterback. Now, they can trade back 5 to 6 spots if they want to and go get Cornell Tate from Ohio State or Jordan Tyson, Arizona State, and go get that wide receiver opposite of Malik Neighbors to give, you know, Jackson Dart that two-man, that they need that. They need that two-headed monster at the receiver position. So the Giants are kind of licking their chops, so to speak. They're like, look, we'll trade out to the highest bidder. I'm telling y'all now, if they end up at the number 1 spot, you think the Giants are going to keep that spot? There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. They're going to move that spot. That's another reason why these next 4 games are critical. Critical. So, fucking dork comes in here. Tank losers. I'm not saying for this team to tank. Bro, they're a very bad football team. You know what tanking is, you guys? Tanking is, let's see, what is a team that's kind of right there on the outside looking in? Let's just say the Dolphins right now, right? The Dolphins, I think they're like 6 and 7, somewhere right there. They're like in the hunt, but they're not technically in the hunt, right? If they just said, you know what, gonna go sit Tua right now. We're gonna go sit Waddle and a chain and those guys. We're gonna sit those guys. We're gonna sit them. We're gonna sit them moving forward, right? They're kind of in the hunt, but they're not kind of in the hunt. That is tanking. That is tanking. This Raider team is number 2 right now in the league in terms of the draft positioning because they absolutely fucking suck. That's tanking, though. That's tanking. Sitting your best players on the way out. Tua tweak something, sit them, and I mean, that is tanking. This team absolutely, you have the worst quarterback in football right now in Geno Smith. And I mean that. QBR, most interceptions in football, been sacked more than any other quarterback in football. Your O-line is abysmal. You can't get the ground game going because of the OC, the QB, the offensive line. The defense is so up and down. We're a bad football team. Stop acting as though, the tank. Bro, we don't need the tank. We don't need to tank. There's no reason to try and tank. Bro, we have been losing with Max Crosby, Brock Bowers, and Ashton Genty. We've been losing. We've lost 11 times with those guys. We don't need to tank. I think people need to finally grasp that concept. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's crazy. Salute to everybody here in the building again. Wipe them feet, hit them thumbs up. If you guys are not subscribed yet, what are y'all waiting on? Make sure you hit that subscribe button. One last thing before we get out of here, you guys. I want to bring this up, and I want your guys' opinion on this. I said 30 or 45 minutes, but once we get rolling, right, it always happens. It always happens. All right, so I want to see. Let me share this. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. All right. Let me read this real quick. Salute to my people. Angela over there. Graphk looks like the Raiders are going back to the Bay next year. Love it. We just talked about it. We literally just talked about that. That is a game that I'm circling on my calendar because anytime I get a chance to have an excuse to go home, I'm definitely doing it. So Raiders in the Bay Area, that's going to be a fun 50-50 look out there at Levi Stadium. A lot of people, there's going to be a lot of fights. And a lot of shit that happens out there in Santa Clara. But, yeah, I definitely got to be out there to see it. Definitely there for it. Hopefully both our fan bases can clean up their acts and go out there and, and do what we do. But, again, that's a tough ask from both these fan bases because the Bay Area rivalry is always going to be there. Salute to Angela. Appreciate you on the $5. All right, I want your guys' opinion on this. I did 2 3-round mock drafts, okay? And I want your guys' take on this. I want left or right, you guys. Left or right, okay? Left, Fernando Mendoza, Isaiah World, the tackle out of Oregon in the 2nd round, and then you go get D'Angelo Pons, the corner out of Indiana in the 3rd round, okay? On the right side, you got Dante Moore. You go get the standout defensive tackle, Caden McDonald, out of Ohio State, and then you go get the big boy, the tackle out of Tennessee, Lance Hurd. What's your guys' take on this? I'm not going to do a whole new mock draft today, but I want your guys' opinion on this. A lot of people left. Okay. One right so far. Now, it's been a mixed bag on Twitter. A lot of people are saying right as well. Trap God says right. Okay, Dante Moore. Okay. Left. Sammy says, I've only watched Mendoza, so left. Okay. You're keeping it real. Kyrie says right. Okay, so you must be high on Dante Moore. And again, you guys, you get that defensive tackle there in Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. That would be big for us. Now, again, does that hamper the development of J.J. Pegues and Tonka Hemingway? Potentially, right? We still have 2 young guys, 2 DTs that we drafted in last year's class with Spy Tech that we have not really truly got a chance to see. J.J. Pegues has been inactive every week. What is he going to look like when he finally gets a shot at the defensive tackle position? Tonka's been kind of playing outside in, so we still don't really know what we have with Tonka. Coming off a sack against the Denver Broncos, his first of his career. Those are 2 guys that we still don't know yet. And then again, you can say the same thing with Isaiah World or Lance Hurd at the tackle position because you just drafted, Charles Grant out of William & Mary. You just took DJ Glaze two seasons ago. So again, I hear it, but I want your guys' opinion on this. I think either one of these results ends up in this team being better because, again, you get your franchise quarterback in Dante Moore or Fernando Mendoza. Isaiah World is a stud, but also Lance Hurd is a stud out of Tennessee. So you could potentially get your tackle there. Caden McDonald is someone that I'm really high on out of Ohio State. You get you a defensive tackle there in the second round. But again, you miss out on the corner there in those first 3 rounds. And think about this. Stokes, a free agent. Caillou is a free agent, and we're probably not going to bring Caillou Blue back at all. Nasty injury. Get right, Caillou Blue. I just spoke to him on Instagram, and he wants to come on the show in the off season. So stay tuned for that. Sent the thumbnail to him. Definitely want to pick his brain about this whole Pete Carroll thing out there in Vegas. Definitely want to chop it up with him a little bit. But again, we need some corners this offseason. We need some corners desperately, because I think only corners that we're going to have worth really looking at under contract, we have Porter, we have DCAM. We need some corners. So that left side is interesting because you can go get a D'Angelo Pons who could potentially be your number 1 guy or potentially your number 2 corner. And hopefully Darian Porter can hit a stride next year and be that number 1 guy. And I think that he can be a number 1 corner at the NFL level. So Graham, I mean, it all starts up front, right? If you have a stout defensive line, that makes the second level of the defense's life a lot easier, and it makes the third level of the defense's life a lot easier. So you're right. You're right. You're definitely right. But again, the argument could be too, who is Tonka Hemingway and who is JJ Pegues in year 2, right? Are we bringing Thomas Booker back? What is he going to look like next year? Do we need a DT there in the second round? So we'll see. And in this draft, I took best player available there. Caden McDonald was the best player available in my eyes there after I took Dante Moore in that mock draft. Deb, he is Cuban. You got Colton Miller. You just re-signed him. And when he moves on, you can push Grant to the left side where he's played a ton at William & Mary, right? Put him at right tackle, put DJ Glaze at guard, and you kind of you don't even need to look to the draft there. If you play Charles Grant at right tackle, Colton at left tackle, knowing that Grant will be your left tackle in the future whenever we move on from Colton, Glaze at right guard. And then if you choose to, you can revisit that right tackle position with Glaze down the line when Grant takes over on the left side, or you go draft another right tackle. This O-line is going to be interesting, you guys, because we have a ton of bodies in the building already. Like, we don't really necessarily need to go out there and draft four offensive linemen like a lot of people are saying, or going to spend a massive amount of money on O-line and free agency. If Tyler Linderbaum, you guys, goes back to Baltimore, which is a very realistic option, then it's slim pickings in free agency. I know he's a center, but again, you have to look at Braden Smith potentially. That's maybe the only guy left in free agency. I don't think you're bringing Dylan Parham back, Trap God, at all. I think you let him walk. But, I don't think you need to go get 3 or 4 new bodies when you just drafted 2 and you have JPJ on a rookie deal, Glaze on a rookie deal. You have, Colton Miller on a new deal. Loso, I'm very high on Crownover. Isn't he like 6'7", 6'8"? It's a big dude. It's a big dude. I've taken him in a few mock drafts in the 3rd round. And then there was a few mocks as well where I traded back and I took him in the late 2nd round. So right now I kind of have a 2nd, 3rd round draft. That's where I kind of have him right now in terms of Demetrius Crownover out of Texas A&M, like a 2nd, 3rd round grade on him in this year's class. But again, things change, right? The Underwear Olympics, the Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl. He may jump up because, again, he's a big body dude. I think he's 6'7", 6'8". It's a big dude. Yeah, there you go, Nick. Yep, Crownover, 6'7", mammoth, monster. And then again, Dan, we keep forgetting that we got Lockie Tassi sitting over there chilling, just waiting to get developed as well. And he could be a stud. Think about that, you guys. Like, we have a ton of bodies on this roster right now. JPJ on the IR. Colton just coming off the IR. Grant, Caleb, Lockie Tassi. The list goes on. We may not have to enter this draft and go crazy. We can get maybe 1 offensive lineman in free agency and 1 in the draft and be good. We don't need to go crazy. Definitely, James. I'll keep you posted. And I'm really thinking about potentially doing a show out there with all the guys at some like restaurant or club, some event center out there. I'll definitely keep you posted. I've been looking for an excuse to get the guys back west so they can get a better glimpse of where I'm from. I've been up there to visit them a ton. They have not gotten a chance to see where I'm from in Northern California. So it'd be really cool to show Wasted and hammering the guys, my side of the globe for a change. LJ says Miller at left tackle, draft the left guard, JP Jet center, Rogers at right guard, Grant or draft the right tackle. I see you, LJ. I see you, brother. My fellow Iraqian. Salute to my guy, Will, Raider Laker from the 916. Yeah, project. 2, 1 in the draft, 1 in free agency. Again, we still have a ton of guys that we need to develop. Now, also, we have to take into account also, you guys, we don't know what guy is going to come in next to take over that offense, but schematically what they want to do. What scheme are they going to run out there? We don't know yet. And some of those bodies that we brought in may not fit that specific scheme. So we'll see. But again, we have a ton of offensive linemen under contract and a ton of guys on rookie deals right now that we need to see still if they are those guys. And it starts with Charles Grant. We see what Caleb is doing these last 2 weeks. We know what JPJ can be. We need to see what those two dudes can do moving forward. And again, Laki Tasi has not seen the field yet. And it may take some time there to develop him because, again, he's so fresh, to the game. He's a former rugby player, but it would be good. I like what you said, Rob. I don't understand why they don't use him in some field, some fullback goal line situations, him and JJ Pegues. This coaching staff is just stupid, bro. Like, they're really, really slow. Like, I don't understand what these guys are doing out there. It just makes no sense. The only thing that makes sense to me is that Pete is just trying to get back at Spy Tech. I don't know why. And once again, I haven't seen them together in a while. I haven't seen them talk with each other for a while. It just seems like they know they're on 2 different timelines, and one is getting back at the other one, and one is just giving him enough rope to hang himself. That's all that I have, the conclusion that I've come to at this point. Because again, we have struggled in goal line situations. We've struggled to run the football all year, and you have a guy in Laki Tasi and JJ Pegues that you could potentially put there at the fullback spot to help, open up some lanes for Ashton Genty, not even just in goal line situations, but just as a whole. And they've refused to do it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Terry, hey, Graphk, do you think that we should keep Rob Leonard for next year, or should we just have a clean slate? I'll say this. I think we need a clean slate. I'm high on Rob Leonard. Max and company's high on him. But he's one of the only coaches outside of our tight end coach that I would probably, think about bringing back. Even Dealin as well, our running backs coach, because again, he was kind of dealt a bad hand this year with how bad that line is. But if you're going to do it, just go outright and clean this whole coaching staff up. Now, it's tough to do that in one off season. It's very difficult to bring in a whole new coaching staff from top to bottom, positional groups and all that stuff. But again, if you can somehow, some way go out there and bring in an entire new coaching staff, you do it. But if you don't, Rob Leonard, our tight ends coach, and I would give Dealin a second year as well, our guy that coming out of Notre Dame. I think that he's a stud as well, but he just needs some O-line to get his run game going. Salute to S. Dot with a bomb. My dog, as always. Trade second pick for Jets' first 2 picks. Nope, I'd rather draft Sellers as our 5th pick. First, David Bailey, Caden Proctor, Lance Hurd, Caleb Banks, Sellers, Nick Harbor, DJ Campbell, Damani Jackson, Marion Brown. Look at my guy pulling up. Caleb Banks, once again, the injuries are a concern. That is the defensive tackle, you guys, out of Florida. Sellers, I don't know if he's coming out in this draft class. And honestly, if I'm a betting man, he's not, because of the year that they had in South Carolina. I think he's better off going back another year and building up his draft stock and probably entering the transfer portal. Maybe going to Miami, maybe going to Oregon, one of those big schools, Michigan. I don't know. We'll see where he goes. But Nick Harbor's a beast, wide receiver out of South Carolina. Interesting. But Lance Hurd's a stud out of Tennessee. He's a baller. And then Caden Proctor, Alabama. I know how high you are on him. And I think that we're both in agreement, S. Dot, that you push him in the guard and he could potentially be a Pro Bowl guard at the next level. Salute to my dog, man, on a $20 special. I appreciate you, brother. Official, tell me why I seen your doppelganger at West Oakland Bart. Laughing my ass off. Dude look just like you. I'm like, what doing in the lower bottoms? Salute to my guy, Official Vibe, man. You funny, bro. Salute to my dog. I got a couple doppelgangers around here, man. You know, I guess I got one in West Oakland, you know, out there in the bottoms. I guess I got one in Dan Rube. I got one in John B. A fusion of Swiss Beats and Joe Budden, I guess. A lot of people have said that. I definitely got a few doppelgangers out there, man. Salute to my dog. Dave is another guy that we've talked about at Oregon, and we'll talk a lot more at length about him in the offseason when we get closer to the draft. So stay tuned. We're looking at some Airbnbs right now, you guys, and we're looking at flights and all that good stuff to head out to Pittsburgh for this year's draft. So hopefully we can get Shieldmore out there and hold it down for sure. Salute. But other than that, you guys, again, we will be live again today. I think we got a ton of questions in. I didn't want to do too much today because I wanted to save some for the Graphk and Wasted and Graphk show tonight. We will do our matchup preview tonight. We'll go over the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about future coaching staff as well. We're going to have an action-packed show tonight, you guys, so stay tuned. We're going to talk a lot about this Philly game and our offseason. I don't want to do too much again, you know, today. But you guys kind of got me going, and I'm almost an hour and a half in. So let me get the hell out of here. As always, appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for pulling up. Get those likes up on the way out. Wipe them feet, and also hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. See you guys tonight for the Graphk and Wasted and Graphk show.